All we did was switch servers.
I know, but it was going on the other server too. But only when you talk. Now it's constant.
Yes.
Has anybody told you that you constantly suck?
Every day. Okay.
9 times.
Welcome to episode 228 of the Linux Lugcast. We are an open podcast lug that meets at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every first and third Friday of the month using Mumble. What did we figure the UTC time was? 1 a.m., I believe?
Yeah, it was 1 a.m.
1 a.m. UTC. We encourage anyone listening to join us and participate on the podcast. Check out www.linuxlugcast.com for the server details. If you have any questions, comments, or topics you would like us to discuss and are unable to join us during the live show, you can send us email at feedback@linuxlugcast.com. You can join our Lemmy community at limix.minix.devs. You can join in the conversation where we chat all day and talk about movies and games and casinos on Matrix. You'll find that address on the main linuxlugcast.com page. We have a YouTube channel. We have a PeerTube channel. And is that all our media outlets, I believe? I think so. We have a Reddit, but everything we post now is pretty much to the new Lemmy community, so you can find us there. And more importantly, you can join us every first and third Friday of the month. I don't know if we're always going to be on the address that's on linuxlugcast.com or not, because we just jumped off that server to jump on the new Mumble server, which doesn't seem to be having the same problems. So I guess join the Matrix or look at linuxlugcast.com for any updates regarding the Mumble server, and just keep an ear or an eye out for what's going to happen in the future, because what we just went through was almost unbearable. So I'm glad it's over. For now, I am Minix, and today we have Eric.
Hello.
We have Arcee.
Hello.
We have Mordancy.
Hello, everyone.
We have Joe. Joe here.
No volume for Joe.
Uh-oh.
His lips were moving.
He is here. But we have Netminer.
Yes. I'm not changing my handle because that's a production change, and I don't want to lose a moment of scintillating conversation.
This is fine. Trust me, Joe is here. And I believe that's everybody. We had Cherry Hill Tony with us momentarily, but unfortunately we switched servers, and I think we lost him for the night. And we had Verbal going in and out, and he may find his way to join us on the new server. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, so we're here.
I have both servers registered on my client. Do you want me to go back and try to round people up?
You can, yeah.
You can, yeah. I'm sitting on the other one on my other phone.
Oh, okay. If you see Verbal
or
Cherry Hill Tony, let him know.
I dropped my phone for the first time ever, and
I was going to say, yeah.
It is. There's little slivers.
I have never done it either, and now that you said that, and now that I said it, I hope not, but
Sorry about that. I ended up on a work call.
Well, bummer.
It happens.
And we have Joe tonight.
And there's Joe.
I'm mostly here, unless I get another call from, like, the dev lead.
And we have Lugbot.
Hi, guys.
All right.
Joe.
Hi, Lugbot.
We love you.
Yeah, Joe's. I don't know where Joe's getting. I don't know where Joe's getting his video from. I'm just seeing his coat rack.
I see him. You don't see him waving?
I see me waving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe hang up and join us again. So, I don't know if you guys want to start OLF. I can't. Oh, Joe, did you have something?
Audio cut in and out.
Oh, mine did?
It was on my end. Like mid-sentence, just for like a second. Thought we were having the same problems again.
I hope not.
It was on my end.
Okay. Anyway, Mordancy and Arcee, did y'all went to a special place, to the mecca of Linux, since our last show. Yeah. And would y'all like to discuss it? Because I really want to hear what happened. What happened?
It was even smaller than the last couple years.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
it was smaller than last year, definitely. Less sponsors, less tables. Definitely.
And what'd you say? Eight to 6 tables?
That's it?
I would even say it was even less than that. I think I only saw maybe like 5 of the people representing the distros, and then I think I saw FFS and I think somebody from Indianapolis, and that was it. So yeah, about 6 or 7. 6 or 7.
Seuss was on one end. Rocky and Alma were together. They'd put Rocky and Alma at opposite ends last year, and everybody made jokes about them fighting, about there being a war. And Red Hat was right in the middle. It was like U-shaped. The Red Hat was in the middle.
Oh, really?
Alma and Rocky were on the ends last year. There was no Red Hat this year. There were no big names there. Seuss, Rocky, and Alma, and FSF.
I really, really badly want Texas Linux Fest to come back to the DFW area.
Rocky, Christina from Rocky Linux said that Texas was coming back.
Oh, that's actually cool.
I wonder if it's going to be Austin or if it's going to be Dallas.
I think she said it was going to be Austin.
Austin. Joe, we can take a road trip.
I can't do it every day.
He must have got another call.
No, I did not get another call. You guys didn't hear me?
I hear you.
I couldn't hear him.
No, but there's no way I could take that 3-hour drive every day.
Hey, Verbal.
I'll get a big suite and have my my company pay for it.
Okay, that works for me.
Yeah. I like that.
Hey, that's my nickname.
We'll take our shirts off
Your
and do some
nickname is We
wrestling.
Can Cuddle?
Yeah, it's Big Sweet.
Big sweet. So anyway, it was small
I
this
have a
year.
CPAP machine.
It's smaller every year. Self was like Self was small, but it was like a medium-sized OLF. And apparently, Jeremy, from what I heard other people talking about, Jeremy didn't ask for any people to come for tables last year. He didn't reach out to anybody. The only people that were there were ones that reached out to him. And for 2024, he had already gotten everybody. He said Self was going to be back to its largest next year.
Well, that's encouraging because I don't like what I'm hearing about OLF so far. I don't want it to go away.
OLF was quaint. I don't think it's going to go away.
Do you think part of the reason is because he announced the date so late before the event started?
Yeah, I think so too. Well, so Self announced the dates before the 2023 event. Our badges had the date on the back for next year.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Wow. So Jeremy said if everything's not taken care of a week before the conference for next year, they're behind.
Really? That's great. So they need to organize OLF as well then. Okay, so you get there Friday? Is that right? Friday
Friday was the first day of the event.
Yeah, Friday was just what, one track going on?
I think so, yeah.
And then later, Birds of a Feather and two rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Mad Dog was to do Birds of a Feather, and apparently Delta, there was something wrong with his flight with Delta, and he was delayed or laid over somewhere.
Oh, that's unfortunate. That's why he was late.
Yeah. I was listening to all the gossip. Everybody was worried he was going to be super irate on Saturday when he finally arrived.
No, oddly enough, he seemed rather nice and calm on the Saturday.
Yeah, he got a little excited during his keynote.
So was he supposed to arrive on Friday, but he had a flight problem?
Yeah, he was supposed to be there Friday, and there was some delay with Delta. His plane got grounded or laid over for an extended period of time.
Now, what time did y'all get there Friday?
I had already been in the area since the 6th on Wednesday, but I got there relatively early. I want to say about like 9:30ish.
I got there about 7 or 8 o'clock. I was there pretty early. I was a little late on Saturday. I had some problems getting an Uber and getting down there.
Oh.
So what when you first get there and they have about 6 tables, and what did y'all go to the first track?
I'd have to look back at the schedule. I know Nix OS, I think, was the first one that I watched. First talk I watched that was that I remember.
What'd you think?
It looks pretty cool. I heard him talking about some of the difficulties. I forget who gave the talk, but I can understand some of the issues that they could have if stuff's not in the Nix package manager. It makes it more difficult. But it was like just adding one line to your, I don't know if they were YAML, whatever the configuration files for Nix are.
it's YAML.
And you just put, whatever the service and like SSH Nginx equals enabled equals true, and then everything it has to do for that, pulling the package, installing it, configuring it does all that, and you run a build, and it tests it all before it deploys. So it'll fail if there's issues.
So Nix is the new hotness right now. Everybody's talking about Nix.
It looked like a very cool way to orchestrate things. I don't know if you remember, I think it was a couple months ago, I did my 3rd wedding.
No.
I married he's from, I think, the Dominican Republic, and she's from Mexico. They're people I know from Nadia pulling me into like all the Hispanic community here in Ohio, and they knew I was ordained, and they had to get married on Monday so they could move into their apartment on Tuesday because their parents were like, absolutely not. They're like they're in their early to mid 20s, but while we were doing the wedding at one of the local parks, it's a very small. They have a big church wedding planned later, I think. But he was talking about music and editing software and it being expensive, and I was just like, yeah, that's all free on Linux. And he was like, what's Linux? And so we talked about Linux while everybody was running around getting stuff together. And him and his wife came to the first day of OLF. They actually just got back from their honeymoon and had one vacation day left. They had to go back to work on Saturday, so they weren't there for Saturday. But I gave them a couple of my Raspberry Pis. They're going to try and do a Pi hole and something else. And I gave them empty USB and a USB with Ubuntu on it. They had me come over 2 or 3 nights ago, and I showed them how to boot up Ubuntu on Ubuntu on a Surface Pro 3.
Really?
It looks very slick. Like
How did that go?
It was simple. It was easy. I think it was the volume. You power it off, and it's you push the power up button, put the USB in, power on, and volume down at the same time until the Windows logo comes up and it starts clocking, and then you let go and it just boots. It doesn't even give you the option of where to boot. It just boots from USB.
Now,
It was really
quick
nice.
question there. Did you have to use the custom kernel?
Nope. Apparently, Surface 1 through 3, all of them are built into the newer Linux kernels, so anything will
That's
run on
awesome.
it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Now, one thing I do have to ask, because from previous experience, how are like the mouse and keyboard drivers for the Surface on Linux now? Because I know fellow friend of the show, Hopper MCS, he has tried to install Linux on one of the Surface. I think it was the Surface 3, but I could be wrong. I know it was definitely one of the Surface models, and he said he had some issues with the mouse drivers on the trackpad.
Yeah, for the longest time, you had to use a custom-built kernel specifically for any of the Surfaces, but now from what Mordancy is saying, 1 through 3 does not require the special-built kernel.
Okay.
So I got that information from a participant itself.
Nice.
1 through 3 is just out of the box in the Linux kernel. The Surfaces work. Up to 6, everything worked with the custom kernel, and 7, 8, and 9, they're still working through like driver and I think cam on some of them, and fingerprint, and I don't know. There were like power. I think the power saving on it on 7, 8, and 9. But that above 3, that still requires the custom kernel, so you're locked into that one kernel.
That's still like 4 point whatever. Don't know. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what kernel it's using, but yeah. Again, I'll probably go the route of the Star Labs.
So what did he think about Linux?
Oh, he wants to jump right into Nix and start doing.
Oh.
He's like, you were talking about wanting to do projects. What do you want me to work on? And I'm like, what do you want to do? I mean, what do you want to do? And he's like, I want to help you out. And I'm like, well, okay. But him and his wife both did programming in high school. So, yeah, they're jumping into a couple, trying out some distros.
Somebody
Okay,
must have jumped
Eric,
on that other server.
presenting NOLF.
I'm talking to Hopper, so I'll be off for a minute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, NixOS is. I know I should just bite the bullet and spend the time to play around with it, because it's one of those things I just don't have a problem to solve with it. And I know as soon as I do, it'll make sense, but I haven't gotten there yet. But it does sound amazing to be able to have that Docker-like experience where it's like, just add that to your config and build it, and there it is, you know?
You know, you can use the package manager on whatever distro you want. You don't have to use NixOS, too. You could install it on Debian.
Heyo.
Who's this?
It's Hopper MCS.
Oh, okay. Nice.
The other table that was there was Coder. So I don't know if you've seen the web version of VS Code.
I have not.
It's really cool. It's really cool.
Am I echoing?
Oh, hold on a second. I think. Why am I not showing up in here?
In Jitsi or in Mumble?
Mumble.
We can hear you. So
Yeah,
must
we
be
can
good.
hear you. It clears
You're
Yeah,
showing
you're
up as
Mumble
Mumla
user.
Oh.
Or Mumla user.
Yeah, I'm on Mumla.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're there.
That's really
You're
clear
you're
for
named
Mumla.
Mumla
I mean,
user.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah, that's high quality for Mumla. Are you using a headset?
Yeah, I'm using my headphones.
Which one?
Using the skull candies.
Yeah.
Which ones?
I have a pair of Hesh 2s.
Okay. No, my kids love the Hesh 3s.
Are they good? Because that's probably going to be the next jump once these die.
The Hesh 3s have a real problem with the hooks breaking, but I have a 3D printer, and I had to redo the STLs that I found on Thingiverse to change the angle a little bit, but after that, they work great. I mean, I bought my daughter a brand new pair of Hesh 3s, and she had both sides broken in a week.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, so fixed those, and she really prefers the 3D printed ones. If you have a 3D printer, they're a great headset. They're easy to work on.
Yeah, I'll make sure to go drop a couple $1,000s on one before I go buy my next pair.
Or just have it
200.
printed.
200. Or better yet, keep an eye on Facebook Marketplace. People are getting rid of them left and right. Halfway decent ones. I mean, even the Ender, the Ender Pro, the V1, Ender 3 V1, that's still a really good printer, especially if you hook it up to a computer, and that will print those just fine. And believe me, I'm 3D printing earplugs right now, and I love my 3D printer. Speaking of which, I do want to talk about that today, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Back to Coder. Back to Coder. The web-based VS Code. The developers that wrote that IDE also wrote Coder, which is a container cloud orchestration web UI.
Yeah, I've read about that. It looks cool.
Yeah, I talked to the guy for like an hour or two that was at the table, and he was doing some really awesome stuff.
And it's open source too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was showing me how you can literally just spin up Docker containers that you created, and it'll open VS Code like in your browser, just inside that Docker container.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool.
So, so we talked about Nix. What else did y'all see at OLF?
I saw a couple Python talks. Heavy on the Hall track.
I don't know if he's here, but we went dumpster diving with
Hopper and I on the Saturday before we went to OLF, we met a guy named Thomas, and he brought us to this recycling center where I had found an old Tandy 1100 FD laptop. It doesn't even have a hard drive in it, but it has NEC V20, which has its equivalent to like an 8086, but clocked a tad bit higher. And then what did you find, Hopper?
I found a Unix keyboard, allegedly. We found a box copy of Solaris, either 10 or 11, if I remember correctly, and a trackball mouse, but meant for like an X-ray machine.
Is it PS2 or USB?
It's USB.
USB.
Ah, nice.
Both the keyboard and the mouse are USB. I had to,
and they work.
I had to literally tear apart this. It was like the computer part of the screening machine for breast cancer, and the way how it was all like the wires were in the machine, I had to literally I tried to unscrewing it, and I couldn't unscrew any of the screws because they were rusted shut from it being all out in the elements. So I had to physically rip it apart, and we only had some damage to the mouse cable, but a little heat shrink tubing should fix that up quite easily.
The fact that it was running Solaris, though.
So that I saw a picture of that little Tandy you got. That looks awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I haven't had the chance to test it, but I already have a power supply and a polarity inverter cable in my Amazon wish list when I get some more money to test it out.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, I plan on running, of course, MS-DOS on it because that's the most like logical thing. But I also was told about this. I'd only imagine it's a Linux distro, I guess, but I don't know if you really want to call it. It's called root boot, and apparently it boots up like a very small Linux kernel on like really old machines. And I don't know what I can do with it, but it'd be cool to see what I could do.
Like a busy box or something?
I'm not sure exactly.
No, it's a modified Linux kernel. It probably has either whatever BusyBox comes with or GNU. One of the two, I'm not sure, but it's an optimized kernel effectively with a bunch of the nonsense ripped out of it.
What was the specs on that Tandy? I forgot what you had said.
What was that again?
What were the specs on that little Tandy?
Oh, so the full specs of the Tandy are it runs an NEC V20 running clocked at 10 megahertz. Has a 640 kilobytes of memory, a 3.5-inch floppy drive, but I don't know if it's 1.5, 1.4 megabytes, or if it's a 720K drive, and then it came with a modem that was an optional when you were ordering one of those machines back in '89. So that'll be nice. I hope to get that connected with one of those various Raspberry Pi products that allows you to connect phone line modems to the modern internet, and I'd like to check out some bulletin board systems with that. And then it also has just your standard parallel and serial ports on it.
Were you able to find a battery for it?
So I wasn't able to, but looking at the specifications, it came with a lead acid battery, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically disaster waiting for you, because you don't want one of those exploding and destroying your electronics. So it's a 6-volt battery, running at I think 1500 milliamp hours. So if I were to somehow create jury-rig 6 AA batteries into there, it should give the 9 volts or the 6 volts it needs.
A lead acid battery is a car battery.
Yeah, but back before they started using the nickel hydride and lithium ion batteries, a lot of electronics that were rechargeable came with lead acid batteries, and yeah, same thing that's in cars today. So if you know the dangers of lead acid batteries in cars, you know what they could do to your computers.
That V20 is a 286 machine, not a 386.
Oh, it's a 286? Huh. Okay, well, thank you for the clarification, because I'm still a little rusty on my knowledge on the clones of the 8088 and its family of processors.
I was waiting for him to say ancient computers.
Oh no, I don't. See, I'm a vintage computer enthusiast. I don't call computers ancient unless they're in a wooden box. And yeah, I would consider that Apple One kind of ancient, but it's not really all that old. It's only I think it's only gaining close to 50 years. That's not that old.
It's not a UNIVAC or anything.
Yeah, if I was staring at a UNIVAC, I'd be like, that is old as balls.
Oh, by the way, a couple of people have recreated the 6502 processor.
Yeah, I've heard about that. The really giant ones, and then they've made, of course, the small ones are supposed to be in the VIC-20 and C64.
Well, what they've done is that they built them out of small scale logic, not solid, not LSI.
Yeah.
Also, if you're going to put that on the web, you don't want to go through the modem. You go through the serial port.
Okay? I was also thinking if I don't end up going through the modem, I'm gonna go get one of those Wi-Fi RS-232 devices, which allows you to basically use Hayes compatible modem stuff through the serial port on modern computers old computers and connect them to the modern web.
Yeah, and again, like people say, there's a modern open source DOS that would be great for that machine.
FreeDOS?
You're talking about FreeDOS. I have
Yeah.
used FreeDOS in the past, but I've had some issues, and I don't know if that was due to the hardware I was running it on, or if it's just because what I'm trying to use it for, it's not that great, because I've tried to use FreeDOS in the past for gaming, and I've used the latest version too of FreeDOS about a month or so ago, and tried to get some games working on it, and it didn't work how I wanted it to. So lately, my go-to version of MS-DOS for at least the newer computers that can run that were MS-DOS native. I usually run MS-DOS 7.1 so I can get the FAT32 support and CD-ROM support. But I don't think I'll need that for the Tandy because it has, I think it has MS-DOS 3 or one of the versions, 3 point something, built into ROM.
Yeah, I think
Also, your do you know if it's hard drive capable?
Unfortunately, no. One of the first things actually coming back to the convention center from the recycling center was we opened it up to see if there was ability to put in a hard drive, and unfortunately they did not install the headers, and I don't know if it's just a matter of soldering some pins for it, or if I need some extra components in there on the board in order to get that up and running.
so. After you did that, you went to OLF Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday was more so just kind of like getting to know more people, at least for me. The first day was more so the informative, like the talks and everything. After, I think it was in the same room, or if it was not the same room, it was after the hour that the Nix OS presentation happened. There was a history of computing little panel where this gentleman was showing like all the different people who contributed to computer science, like Grace Hopper and Alan Turing and a few others that have escaped my head. And then there was also, I think after that was one of the two, either Mordancy or Hopper can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe after that was I think it was talking about the Fediverse. I think that was what happened afterwards, was they were talking about the Fediverse and just showcasing how everything internet connects with everything and all that, and it gave me a better understanding of the Fediverse, because before then I didn't really know it other than it being just an alternative social media platform. That's what I always thought it was, but it's more than that. You have all these different Fediverse platforms, like for instance, you have like GNU Social, Mastodon. Those are the two biggest ones that I noticed.
Lemmy?
Oh, I'm sorry. What was that?
Lemmy?
Oh yeah, and there's Lemmy too. But the two that I saw that were like the biggest interconnected, at least as far as social media went, was the Mastodon and GNU Social, and then which are I would call them,
Like
I guess,
Twitters,
microblogging
Yeah.
type of stuff. Almost like if you've ever used Twitter, it's Mastodon is very much like Twitter as far as like how you use it. It looks very similar. And then GNU Social, that's been around a bit longer than Mastodon, and it looks like your older like user boards and whatnot. But I actually really
By
like that.
more than a decade.
Yeah. I really like the look of GNU Social a bit more than I do like Mastodon's, and I have since going to that panel, I've actually joined GNU Social, and I've been really liking it a lot. It reminds me a lot of when I was a teenager, and I know this is weird saying as a teenager being on social media, because you'd think I would have started much earlier, but no, I was late to the game, and so... But it very much joining the Fediverse and finding people on there reminds me a lot of being
Just
on
made all
social
the
media
old
for the
people
first
on
time.
here feel even older.
I am sorry. I have not been on the internet for that long, and I wish I had been on there much earlier.
Social media, when I was a teenager, digital social media was maybe IRC, if you were lucky enough to have a computer and internet.
IRC, yeah. I wish I had been there for the days of when IRC was really big, because I've seen plenty of those chat boards, and I was like, man, it would have been nice to have been there.
Yeah, for BBS and forums and maybe AOL chat or QQ.
Or your CompuServe.
Gopher.
Prodigy.
Yeah. So you got an overview of the Fediverse, Activity Pub, and all that?
Yeah, Activity Pub, yeah. Learned a little bit more about how Activity Pub works and everything.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah, I definitely hope that the Fediverse catches on and becomes a more widely adopted system as the years come. I feel it's it feels more free on there. And I mean, I guess that's the nature of the Fediverse, but it's nice when I can just see what people are saying without having to scroll 2 posts down and then seeing like a McDonald's ad or something.
That's one of the great things about it. It's not capital driven, so it's people do, or they have a motive to do what they want to do instead of trying to do things that just makes money on using Activity Pub, which is nice. So they already have so many services that incorporate Activity Pub, like Funkwell, the music service, Bookworm, the Goodreads alternative, and
there's a Friendica, which Hopper was showing me, and it's basically just Facebook. And then what was the Instagram knockoff, Hopper?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if he's still here.
Pixel something. I can't remember.
Yeah, something Pixel something. Yeah, I remember something like that. But it looks like 1-to-1, like Instagram. Like
right.
I could show it to somebody, and they'd be like, "Look, I'm on Instagram." And they'd be like, "Oh, cool. What's your Instagram name?" Like I could totally fool someone if I wanted to. It's that crazy how close you can get in UI.
And it's all self-hostable, so you don't have to rely on corporate servers or anything like that.
You don't have to worry about your stuff. The nice thing about the Fediverse is that you don't have to worry about your stuff being taken down randomly by some like corporate thing making evil decisions. You're only at will of the server host of whatever server you're on, whether if you're on Mastodon, GNU Social, or any of those platforms.
And your info being monetized and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. don't have to worry about that. But yeah,
So that was
I-
Saturday. You had the talk about the Fediverse. You had some Python tracks.
This was on Friday. I'm talking about.
Oh, Friday. Okay.
Yeah. After the Fediverse talk, the guy that I actually met, that we actually brought us to the recycling center, Thomas, he had a panel on his experience as an artist with using Linux, which I found pretty interesting because I consider myself an amateur graphic designer. If anyone's watching the stream and sees all of our pretty faces, I actually made the little Jolly Roger flag that I'm using as my camera feed photo. Made that, but I thought it was cool. He was showing how he was used as a Krita is his preferred image manipulator on Linux, and it's really nice for people who like to do like comic book stuff. Like they're really tied into the comic book scene. Even from first opening, you see all these different like comic book style characters and everything. But that one's really nice. That's I believe a vector program, if I'm not mistaken.
That's
Someone
the
can
open
correct
source
me.
like painting program, right?
Yeah, it's there's many different types of art programs out there. Krita is definitely one of the better ones, at least as far as user friendliness goes. If you're trying to find a vector program, I think. Sorry, I get Inkscape and
Inkscape is
Gimp.
vector.
Inkscape's the vector one. Yeah, I've tried used Inkscape in the past, and at least from when I remember using it a few years back, it didn't seem like easy for me to just throw myself in there and use it. It seemed like I would definitely have to take a lot of time using it, and that's the same thing with Gimp too, which that's raster graphics, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
That one, I feel that if you're a person who's used Photoshop in the past, Gimp is really easy to transition into, but I've gotten away with doing most of my projects in simple art projects. Like I think I made this my little Jolly Roger flag. I think I made that in color paint, oddly enough, which is almost as close as you can get to MS Paint on Linux, honestly.
Yeah, I use Inkscape for laser cutting. It works really good
Oh, nice.
to make export SVG files for laser cutting.
If you want to learn Inkscape and GIMP, there were 2 podcasts, and I think they're still archived on archive.org.
For now.
For now.
One is
For now.
so download them now. One is Meet the GIMP, and the other one is Screencasters by Heathen X.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
I need to put that in the show notes.
Yeah, put that in the show notes because I will not remember that. But one thing that I was very surprised to see in his presentation though was he mentioned LibreSprite, which if you don't know what that is, it's a pixel art program that is a fork of Asprite, I think it's pronounced. I don't exactly remember how it's pronounced, but it's Asprite was a pixel art program that started out as open source, free to use, and everything, was on GitHub, and then somewhere down its releases, they decided to close source it. And so right before they closed sourced it, a group of folks forked it and forked the last open source version and as a LibreSprite, and I use that extensively for all of my pixel art projects because it's just, you can make pixel art, you can do animations, sprite work for any of your games that you want to make it, and even has the different color palettes, like 32-bit, 16-bit, and 8-bit, for if you need to like make certain sprites for your games, or you're trying to get like a certain color profile. But it's really nice, and it even does layers too. So if you're a person who's really big on having layers in your art program, it's got that going for it as well. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all that I have to say about the art one. After that, events are kind of hazy because I kind of just enjoyed myself. I don't think I really went into any panels after that until we went to Birds of a Feather, where this guy, I think he like works as like a activity pub maintainer or something. I don't remember exactly what his thing was for there, but he was basically going more into detail about Mastodon and activity pub and all that. But yeah, I think that's all we had for the Friday, and then Saturday went around and talked to people and all that. Don't really have much to say about Saturday other than the trip going to the recycling center.
What was Mordancy? I'm trying to find those. What did you say the name was for learning Gimp and Inkscape?
Meet Gimp and Screencasters. I can find them.
Okay.
I'd send them to people all the time.
I just put something in the show notes, but if you want to put the links there. So did you meet any cool people there at OLF?
It's talking to me or Mordancy, or just
Anybody,
in general.
Anybody. Yeah, anybody. I saw some new people join the Matrix, so that was
Yeah. When
I was hoping Aaron was gonna join.
Yeah, I think he's working. I actually hung out with Aaron this week, listened to his music production. He started writing a sad song because of me.
Oh yeah, tell Hopper about what you found out about or at least what I found out through you about the Surface.
Oh, the Surface 1 through 3 is working with the default Linux kernel now in almost every distro. 4, 5, and 6 is working with the custom kernel, and 7 and above is mostly working with the custom kernel.
Yeah,
That was the thing, is that I could not get the custom kernel working myself, and so
I gave
up,
took a straight.
and the hardware's been lost. So
Oh, that's unfortunate, because I know you have that somewhere in your apartment. I'm like, you gotta make use of it. It's such a thin little laptop.
I have a $1,000 laptop that replaced that as my daily driver, so I can't really be mad.
Fair.
Now, if they just get the Surface RT working, I'll be in business.
Good luck.
Warranty, anything else about OLF?
The one lady from Rocky Linux, she was submitting documentation updates, and she became a community spokesman. They pulled her in, and Self was the first time she'd been to a Linux conference. So I saw her at her first event, and she remembered me. So she was pretty cool. Of course, Mad Dog. Ian came. He was at the FSF.
Yeah.
FSF table. Yeah. Murph, Thaj, and Lyle.
Nice.
Yeah,
I got to meet them.
Yeah. They said we go too late. They're old. They're not joining that late.
Yeah,
they said we start at bedtime.
For people that are listening now, you should check out the urandom podcasts, and those are cool guys.
Those are cool wonderful podcasts.
Yep.
Usually get to talk to those guys on the New Year's show.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
So how was Mad Dog's talk?
It was pretty good. He talked
Yeah.
about like the importance of open source and how open source isn't going to continue to be how it is and stay with us unless more people are contributing to open source. At least that's what I gathered from it. So basically,
It was a commentary. It was a long-running commentary on the IBM Red Hat thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing how many large corporations use open source. I mean, it could be anything. It could be any one of the Apache projects. It could be Nginx. And they never contribute back to it, and they never financially support any of the developers or the projects. They just use it. Just think about how all the Docker containers, almost the majority of Docker containers are using Alpine Linux as their base, and Alpine Linux is has no money, and all these corporations are just take it for granted that it's there. We could just use it without contributing anything to it. It's crazy.
And what was that Java logging thing that everybody got?
Log4j.
Everybody jumped on him because they found a bug in it, and he was a one-man band with no support.
My answer would have been, which one of you paid me to write this?
Right.
Nobody. He wrote it himself.
Exactly.
And everybody took it.
Everybody took it, and nobody contributed back to it.
Not one person.
And then he's basically getting death threats from people because he, being a one-man maintainer and dev, he made a mistake. I don't think people realize how much the whole infrastructure of technology and the internet rely on open source, The layman doesn't realize that. Take it for
Oh,
granted.
for sure.
All right, for you guys that are still into the MS-DOS stuff, I have one suggestion. Look into the open source version of 4DOS.
I have heard of that.
And it won't work very well. You need a machine that's got either more memory or a hard disk than the Tandy, but
Yeah.
it will do tons of stuff. Also, if you're working at all in the Windows universe, look at the portable apps software. It's a lot of ways of getting your open source fix under Windows, and it will install on about everything except your screen. If you're doing gaming and you're switching back and forth from Windows to Linux, you can get OpenOffice. It does great work on external drives, whether USB or hard drive. Your web drives, it will work off of. It's got some interesting stuff. It's open source. It has its own start menu, and it does its own updates, independent of your machine, independent of anything. So if there's a new Firefox, it will tell you update your Firefox, and it will download it. Again,
I can't believe they're still making this. I use this. Oh my goodness! I can't even like 15 years ago, maybe, like a long time ago. When you said it had its own start menu, it just popped right in front of my head.
I haven't checked it out because I'm off Windows, but for some time, for some things like under wine, it doesn't work. It's a little rough under wine. Last I tested, but it's been a way for people to get Notepad++ for eons.
Or you can just use Notepad QQ.
Yeah,
just
I'm just saying that some people have gone back to the old, and some people have made a wrapper for Notepad++ just because they may use it at work or whatever.
yeah, I just went and looked. The first release of portable apps started out as a portable version of Microsoft Firefox in March of 2004. And then they expanded it to include Thunderbird and OpenOffice.org.
I
So, yeah,
always have a thumb drive with portable apps on it.
It also, the portable apps format is there was another Windows only format which was really weird that I don't recall right now. Had a CD partition and then your application, so it behaved almost like you were plugging a CD into your machine. It was a industry standard supported by some of the flash drive makers, but the portable apps works on any removable media, and in portable mode it leaves minimal traces and nothing is installed on the machine proper. It's all run off the external media, so when you pull your hard drive, all of your storage is on the external media if you install it that way.
I wish I knew about this in high school. This is actually really cool.
Yeah, I used to keep a flash drive too with like Firefox, uTorrent, and some other stuff on it. Portable apps. I could just.
I don't know how many portable apps there are now, but just having a self-updating.
it says.
Just having a self-updating
Sorry for
open
interrupting
office.
you. I'll stop.
Sorry about that. That's my Ashby's.
No, it's just everybody's trying to talk at once. Go ahead, Eric. What was it?
It says over 450 real portable apps, 49 gigabyte.
Wow.
I think Sigwin might have been a portable app for a while.
I don't know. Sigwin's huge, though.
Sorry, Netminer. Go for it.
I haven't even looked at that page for a while, but it wasn't in the days of XP and even Windows 7, it was a lifesaver. Also, I actually paid for ForDOS for a very long time when I was using DOS, and I used and abused DOS well beyond its sell-by date when I should have been using XP or something better.
Get your money's worth.
Yeah, well, actually, if you're still using dial-up, there actually was a web browser, and I think it even did Usenet or something else that would work under dial-up under DOS. I forget the name of it, but it would it did its own internet stack.
Anything else about OLF? Or you want to mention? Did you get any swag?
This year I actually didn't get any, come to think of it, other than my cool badge, of course.
No stickers or those little lens covers that go on your laptop camera?
There were no lens covers. There were some pins. A couple. Rocky had some T-shirts. I missed out. They went quick.
Sousa had water bottles. I should have caught
And
one of those,
Chameleon.
but I didn't.
I think they had golf balls and some other stuff. I didn't even stop and talk to the Seuss table.
I didn't see anyone with pins, and that was kind of sad because whenever I go to like conferences or conventions, I always like to pick up pins, and I didn't get one this year. Last year, Red Hat was giving out pins, and I actually have it on my laptop bag, but no pins this year, sadly. The only thing from OLF I think I actually picked up was the free HP Pavilion desktop that was in nearby the free bin.
You got a whole computer?
Yeah,
I have more free
going back
stuff for
to
you guys
that
too.
Thomas guy that I was talking about, he had brought in a bunch of just computer stuff that were from projects that he felt that he was never going to get around to, and he kept telling me, he's like, "Yo, you guys should like totally pick up that desktop." And yeah, I took a desktop on a Greyhound, and that was an interesting experience. Bus
you have to
driver
check
didn't even
that, or
ask
is it a
me even
carry-on?
any questions about it. He just looked at me. He's like, "Okay, get on the bus."
What are the specs?
This HP Pavilion is it's a Celeron Pentium 3 class machine. I don't remember what the RAM is in it. Needs a new hard drive because it didn't come with a hard drive. And it doesn't have a graphics card, so I'm throwing that in there. And then the power supply is the only thing I'm absolutely replacing because it's a 100-watt non-standard ATX power supply. So gonna try replacing that with a 400-watt Pico PSU.
You have to have an adapter because don't the Pavilion or the
This one has proper ATX. It's just the
the
form
proper
factor of the
24
power
pin?
supply is not standard.
Okay.
So I can't just order an off-the-shelf power supply and throw it in there because there's not enough room for it in there.
Well, I'm sorry I missed out on OLF. I would have liked to have been there.
Oh, I did check. There will be a 2024 Texas Linux Fest, but it is in Austin.
Really?
Yeah.
When is it, do you know?
April 12th and 13th.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Or is it 13th and 14th? I think it's 12th and 13th. That's Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. I'll have to put that on my calendar. Hopefully I'll still be alive next year. I can go.
I'm betting on it. You'll be,
Nothing wrong
you'll
with
be
hoping
with
for
us.
that, right?
Mhm.
Jeez. That seemed pretty. Yeah,
You never
that seemed
know.
kind of.
I'm
kind
not
of
dead yet
random.
either.
I'm dead inside, but that's a whole nother story.
That's been for years.
Well, Mort, I hope your news was good. And
It was vague, which was the best I was expecting.
Vague.
anyways, yes, besides, I'm the old man of the sea over here, anyway.
Well, we're trying, but you won't let us catch up to you.
Keep pulling away. Any projects? You guys working on anything?
No, I haven't been quiet.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Well, I know I've talked about it on other shows, but I was having a lot of trouble with my 3D printer. And I was assuming that it was just an ambient temperature issue, and I'm quite certain that had a lot to do with it, because it was just locking up, clogging, heat creep, and, when you're talking about it being like almost 120 degrees in my garage, it's not all that surprising. But even after the temperature came back down, it still wasn't printing very well, and it was still causing problems. So I was assuming that the fans had gone bad, which they might still be going bad. But I pulled the shroud off. I got everything set up on the hot end again. Cleaned out the PTFE tubing, trimmed it back a little bit, put in another new nozzle, and got everything ready to go. But I also replaced the shroud with a 3D printed fang that I had already done before and just hadn't switched out.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got that put on there, and instead of the blower fan, that one requires 2 of the 4010 fans. And so I had my old 4010 fan from my previous shroud that I put on there, and I used I still have to do it to the other one, but I used a barrel connector. So the problem with that one was that was the part cooling one, and it actually was dying. So you could see it slow down and then speed back up, and see it slow down and speed back up. But if you guys remember, you guys had me make that Kirby fume extractor.
Mm-hmm.
That was made. Yeah, that was made with a 4010. So I did end up taking that apart and pulling the 4010 out of that and putting that on the blower motor. And then I had another problem where I had no layer adhesion and no wall adhesion, but that's because my fang with that fan from that build was cooling too much. So I had to turn it back down to like 50% instead of the normal 100% that I have to use with the blower motor. But I have to say that after I did that, the quality on my prints is just back to what it was when this thing was brand freaking new, and I am loving it. So
no more issues.
No more issues for now. You know how it goes. I mean, well, you may not. I mean, you haven't turned on your 3D printer in like 2 years.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
Well, you haven't turned it on in like 2 years.
I know.
You did all those upgrades, and then you just turned it off and left it there.
It's just collecting dust. I think I got stuff stacked on top of it now.
Yeah, and eventually I'm going to have to replace my glass again, but I do a lot of 3D printing, so...
You do.
Mm-hmm. I 3D printed that light right there, the whole assembly. You can kind of see the assembly at the top right there. That piece, the L bracket, and then the lamp shade, and then I just got a hanging cord lamp that I put in there, and yeah, I really like that. It's also a dimmable, so it works pretty well. I mean, fun.
Oh, nice. Have you been using PETG?
No, not for that one, but it's an LED light, so it's not going to get that hot. I am going to switch back to PETG. I haven't used PETG in a little while, but I'm hoping that with this setup, it'll start printing well again. I think I'm all out. I have to double check. I think all I have is ABS, and I don't want to print that without an enclosure, and I still got to fix my enclosure. But I do want to print out some different tips for 810 style vaporizers, because like if I lose this one, I don't have another one except for the PLA one that I've printed. But the problem with the PLA ones is they're extremely heat sensitive, so the bottom starts to change in size, so it shrinks a little bit once it heats up and pops out real easy. So I do want to get some PET G just for some higher temperature stuff. And like I have a couple of things I want to 3D print for my car, but I'll tell you about that when I do it. But that's definitely either PET G or ABS for that one. Because PLA is just not going to cut it.
Not in Texas. Well, I'm glad you got it sorted. Back to printing.
Really like how the prints are coming out. And I do want to print something a little bit more detailed. I mean, so I got it fixed yesterday, day before, and so all I've really printed since then is a bag clip and a couple of other just small like test things. I also have started, like right now I got a set of 6 of these that I'm printing, but they've really helped me sleep a lot better, and it's just I'm earplugs. The simplest thing you can freaking imagine. Earplugs, and they're just made for like headphone tips to go onto, so you can pick your size and everything. And
nice.
It has been awesome sleeping with these. I did not realize how noise sensitive I was when I was sleeping, and I am just sleeping so much better with it.
I never even thought about printing those. Yeah.
I hear everything. Yeah, it drives my wife crazy because she comes to bed later than me usually, and she's like, I'll sit up and look at her, and she's like, I didn't make a sound. And like I'll hear my cats walking around, like walking, like just the sound. I mean, and it's not like I'm a nervous sleeper. I just hear everything.
I'm paranoid. I know I'm paranoid. I have severe problems with like people sneaking up behind me and shit. And I always like being able to hear what's going on around me, but I have decided that my sleep quality is much more important. So
yeah. Do you find that you're printing stuff like constantly?
Almost.
You just yeah.
Oh, it is almost constantly, and I've made sure, like it used to be more of an issue in the past, but I don't print dust collectors.
Mm-hmm.
Like
knickknacks and stuff.
Tchotchkes, knickknacks. I will print Halloween decorations. Put up and they get seen and all that jazz. But I try not to. Like I 3D printed a thing to hold all of my spices. Like my taco seasonings and my air fryer seasonings. That's currently inside that cabinet back there, screwed into the door. So that way they're off the shelf and they're all together. I had printed out someone else's design for one, but it was entirely too small for it. So instead of just, making this bigger, which would have made the walls thicker, I designed my own. And printed that. It's a really simple design, and it worked out pretty darn well. So I like it. And
I imagine at first you print stuff just to do it, and then eventually you're just kind of like you said, you probably no more junk.
Right.
I'm not printing it unless it's useful.
I have more than enough dust collectors at this point. Yeah. But like I'll. If I can't find an STL, I will make one. I'm not the greatest 3D designer by any means, but I can get the job done in most cases. It won't be the prettiest, but it will definitely do the job. Or a lot of times I'll just grab other people's stuff. Like I have 18650 batteries because, I use my vaporizer, and eventually one of the 2 batteries that I use will go bad, and the other one will still be okay. So I'll make things like this.
A charger?
Yeah. And I mean, they're only 1 amp. So they work really well for my bike, which I have. I modified a flashlight to, instead of taking 3 AAA batteries, I modified it to use a USB cord. Specifically so that I could use whatever batteries that I have available. And that works really well, as long as, I remember to bring 2 of them just in case one of them was deader than I thought. But yeah, I mean, I have a lot of 3D printed items. My camera is attached to a GoPro a 3D printed GoPro arm that I made that is attached to a spring clip so that I can easily move it to the living room when I do my other podcasting. I have my other microphone here that I'm not using right now that would probably sound a whole lot better. I created an adapter so that it would fit onto a regular mic stand because this one didn't come with an adapter like that. I 3D printed this for my chair so that I can either attach a camera to it or a phone stand to it, or my microphone will actually attach to this if I wanted to, and then it just rotates, and you can see that it's set at an angle. That way it's not straight on. I have a similar design in the living room that's attached to my table in there, so I don't have to do a C-clamp to attach my microphone to it. It's basically just a 1/4-inch bolt sticking out of the thing that will hold this into place. I have another 1/4-inch bolt on a right angle bracket over here for the exact same thing. And so yeah, I'm printing things that I find useful, and I just have an atrocious number of like headphone hooks that are attached to my desk. Granted, they all have headphones on them, so yeah. And then, you know, I've brought other stuff that I've printed in the past, like this is an adapter that I made for my little mini laptop, my 1GX, that I set this there, and then my phone slides into the top portion. And I have applications to make either a second screen or an extended screen out of my phone, just to, you know, increase the usability of that device. And that works out really well. And then I have another one of these that I printed that has a couple of 1/4-inch bolts sticking through it so that I can mount my camera directly on it, or put one of my phone holders on the side or on the top if I want to. So yeah, I had also like printed out. I was trying to make my own desk fan, but I can't get the balance quite right, so it's a little off balance, and it just doesn't work well at high speed. Yeah, so getting that seated properly, I had it seated properly like once for a couple of minutes, even with it glued into place. For some reason, it ended up with a wobble. Yeah. So I haven't given up on the project, but I'm setting it aside for right this second. And these are the barrel style connectors that I'm using for the fans on the 3D printer. So that's pretty awesome. And like I said, I 3D printed the Fang on that, but I got that STL from Thingiverse as well. And yeah, I spent a lot of time on Thingiverse. Oh, and I think I brought this to the show too. I'm not going to take it apart right now, but this is like a 3D maze puzzle that I printed out for my son for Christmas, and there's like a couple of different levels in it. So you take apart the first set, and then you take apart the next set, and then you take apart the next one. And we're planning on putting a $20 bill in there, give him some incentive, and then tell him he's not allowed to cut it apart. See how long that lasts.
For everybody listening, you need to see all this cool stuff Joe has printed. If you search Linux Lugcast on YouTube or go to nightshift.minix.dev for the PeerTube channel, you can view the video stream and you can see everything we're talking about. It's really cool.
Yeah, and then like this is a travel case for my Pinesil.
Oh, nice! I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, my little battery power, well, USB-C powered soldering iron from Pine 64, and so like that's just what is that, an 808 bearing or something like that. It's just a bearing. It's the common size bearing. I'd have to look up the size again. I don't remember it off the top of my head. And that acts as a holder for it. and it all just fits nicely into this case. The only thing this case really doesn't hold is, and you can print out bigger ones, and I probably will have to because I want a place to hold the flux and maybe some solder braid and some solder. Even if it's just a small spool of solder, I want to be able to take it all in one spot. Yeah. And then like my bag for work, I have a bunch of like 3D printed cases for all of my USB cables, an adapter for another spring clamp to hold my phone. I'm thinking, because I took somebody else's design from Thingiverse and I modified it pretty heavily to make it so that it rotates, because it was very stationary. I mean, it had two spots that you could screw it into, but it just wasn't dexterous enough for me. So I made an adapter for it, and I think I'm going to put that as a remix onto Thingiverse just to kind of contribute back. So yeah, I do a lot of 3D printing, and yeah, a lot of plastic gets wasted on designs that didn't work out or whatever. But I try to keep it to just printing things that are either useful or that I know that people will enjoy when I give it to them. Not that I don't have dust collectors.
I have a big list of things I need to print, and
Only going to get bigger until you turn that thing on.
I need to get that. Well, I still need to install that all metal hot end on there and get all that. And
you don't need to install the all metal hot end on there if you've got the old hot end still on there.
Well,
that could be a project for the future after you've actually, used the thing.
I also have the automatic bed leveler I need to put on there too.
No, you don't.
So I don't have to, that's true, but I want to before I use it again. And I've got all that stuff just sitting in a box. I think I ordered it over a year ago for that printer and just haven't installed. Yeah, 2 years. Something like that. Anyways, one of these days when I'm not trying to get a BBS up and running in a browser and stuff.
Do you have like Octoprint set up?
Yeah, I've even got Octoprint already installed, ready to go, connected to the printer, and that should be my next project, actually, doing that. Because there's a lot of stuff I need to print, especially enclosures for little single board computers and stuff, and fan mounts and things like that. Not any tchotchkes or anything, but stuff I can actually use and need to be using.
I do. Well, I don't print out any tchotchkes for myself except for sometimes a keyring or something. But I am planning on printing out a couple of more keychains for JoJo because he likes them.
What kind of keychains?
Usually, like the last one I did for him was a murder bunny with a knife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he likes that one, and I printed out 2 or 3 of those for him. And
Star Wars stuff?
No, not for him. I am thinking about printing out a Millennium Falcon for myself, but that's because I like those. I might do it a lithogram style, if I can find one.
Oh, yeah. Or a light box.
Something like that. Just because it's cool. I wish I had someone else nearby that enjoyed 3D printing as much as I did. Instead of, 3D printing in a box.
I know it. I'll be there. Netminer, were you saying that you were working on something, or that you hadn't done much lately, or what?
No, I haven't done much lately. Just, trying to winterize a little bit.
You still got to get to those Raspberry Pis.
Yeah, I do. just been working out some financial stuff. I was dumped by Medicaid, so my income drops by about $200. So things are a little tight. So
Yeah, I can imagine.
I've been trying not to worry too much about that, but you know, there's a usual round of house insurance, taxes, health insurance, rinse and repeat.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Eric? Any projects or anything you've been working on?
I've been literally sitting here racking my brain though. I really just been my desktop PC just decided to start locking up on me, and I spent a few hours troubleshooting. I use it to test distros and also just to host different, processes and stuff, and it just kept locking up on me. And like I said, I spent a few hours, and usually that's kind of my limit. Like, it's just too easy to reinstall and start over. So
Yeah.
So yeah, I reinstalled and had this really weird problem with I was just gonna stick Ubuntu on it just to be lazy, just throw it on there, and I didn't need it to last forever. I just wanted to have that system running. I know. So the new installer.
No, Ubuntu.
Oh, it was Ubuntu. Yeah.
Ubuntu, whatever they call it.
The Subiquity installer, I guess that's what they're calling the new version of Ubiquity. Anyway, it would go through letting you put in all your information, even like setting up, manual partitioning and putting your username and everything. And then it would just disappear. And I thought, well, this is an old ISO. I downloaded it when it first came out. So I'll go grab a new copy, because every now and then they'll respin it, remaster it or whatever. So,
this
same
is just
thing.
vanilla Ubuntu,
just vanilla Ubuntu.
Yeah.
Nothing special. So same thing. I thought, okay, something weird's happening here. So then I went. They actually also released a legacy. They entitled it Legacy, which just means that it has the old installer. So I thought, okay, at this point I was mad because I expected this to take me 15 minutes, and now I'm like an hour in, and I'm angry because I just wanted to get it fixed. But now I want to know why it's not working. So I get the legacy version, and it gets all the way through the install, and then I reboot, and it and it won't load. And I'm like, okay. So then I'm thinking, is it a hardware issue? But it's fine on the live, the live boot. So anyway, I had a USB key with Manjaro Cinnamon just to play with it, and it was there, and I was tired of going back and rewriting USB keys.
Mm-hmm.
So I just installed that, and that
no
was
issues?
like a week ago. Yeah, it seems to be fine. So
That's weird.
I'm just gonna, yeah, that's just it. Like, if it was a hardware issue, I'd expect it to be consistent, and it doesn't seem like it is. So,
have you done any kind of mem test or anything like that?
It was the type of thing. I finally got it running, and I've had a bunch of work and projects and stuff this week and appointments out of the house, and I just kind of said, you know what, I'm done messing with this for right now. So when I need to use it, so that computer's kind of an overflow system. I use it for basically almost just like a workstation, a processor in a way. Like I tend to work just with my laptop to do most of my stuff, and then whenever I offload stuff, or if I need to do something that's going to take a really long time, or whatever, then I'll use that as almost like a compute system. So I don't have an immediate need for it, but it's the next time I need to do something, probably will look at it then and decide what to do. But from last time I looked at that Star Labs, Starlink, and I figured out that you had to buy the keyboards separately. That was like an extra $100. By the time I was all done with it, it was like over $700, and I'm like, I just couldn't do it for the tablet.
So you were actually seriously considering it?
Oh yeah, no, I had it in the cart and everything, and the next day they emailed me and said, "Well, we'll throw in free shipping," and I'm like, "Oh, free shipping." But yeah, I couldn't do it. So you did it, Mordancy?
I will let you know. I really want the 16-inch laptop maxed out. That's what I want.
Oh, okay.
But it's they're 4 to 5 months out, ramping up to make those and the Byte, the little cube that they have.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did you
Nice.
take a look
Okay,
at
cool.
those ones that I had showed you, Eric?
Yeah, and I have them. eBay will throw a message at me every time a new one comes up, and there have been ones like right around like 139, like right around there. And I don't know. I expected one to maybe be $20 less or something. I'm waiting for one to sort of come up that's a deal, and and I'll grab one and try it.
Prices are still up even on used stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't bought used parts in a while just because the price is still up there.
Yeah, I kind of feel like stuff will settle down, but I don't know. I've had lots of distractions, so it hasn't been a focus. I tend to get fixated whenever I don't have other things distracting me, and then I have a much harder time saying no. And so yeah, for right now, I'm just sort of content to let things be. And yeah, I've been doing a bunch of podcasts and stuff too. So like,
really, I hadn't noticed.
I've spent a lot of time. I had 3 streams last Saturday. I was streaming for probably 7 hours last Saturday. So
wow.
Yeah, I just recording, planning, and then another stream, and then recording the next day, and I recorded Wednesday this week, and then I have another weekend full of streams, and I've just been doing a lot of that instead of other, I guess, productive things you could say. But I don't know. It's been entertaining. I used to do a lot of content creation and YouTube stuff, and I just kind of fell away from it after a while. I was really into it. I go through these, hills and valleys, peaks and valleys of having intense interest in something to where it's almost like obsessive, and then I kind of burn myself out, and I have to walk away for a little while.
You have too many hobbies. You have to cycle them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I do, and right now I'm back into that phase of, wanting to, I don't know, look at distros, look at software, look at different stuff, and I'm sure it'll run its course, as things usually do. But it's fun, and it's nice because I'm meeting a lot of new people and making some new friends, and yeah, all good things. And I got to watch a cool movie this week, which I enjoyed.
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
Should we talk about it? Did you watch that, Mordancy? Tetris?
It's getting late. Should talk about it.
I did not get a chance. I've been working too much.
Well, you didn't really miss much, I don't think. It's just about. Well, I guess we can go into it, right?
Yeah, I watched the beginning. I didn't get very far.
Oh, okay. Do you mind if we talk about it, or would you want us to wait? It's okay. Okay. Let's see. Oh, we need the theme music. Yeah, let's see. Here we go. Linux Lugcast. Okay, now we could talk about it. So, if you have an interest in video game history, or are a Tetris enthusiast, or just want to know lots about how licensing works in the former Soviet Union, this may be the movie for you. It's Tetris, made in 2023. And it's the story of how the game came about from being created by a Soviet programmer in his free time just to pass around and play with his friends, to being at the time, the #1 selling game in the world on a million different platforms. It talks about the early history of how it got started and how it was Gorbachev, right, that was in power in Russia, how the Soviet Union under communism was a pretty grim place, and if you created something that you wanted to sell, the state basically owns everything, so you don't make anything from it. And it was interesting as far as like the difference in the U.S. at the time and Russia, where there wasn't really a video game industry. There was a state managed computing and electronics division called Ergol. Was that the name of it, or Erlog?
Yeah.
It was something like that, yeah.
Eligo.
That sounds right. That they didn't really make it clear exactly what they did, but all the programmers and anybody that had anything to do with computing was quote unquote working for this state agency, and
working for the government.
Basically, the government, yeah. So the creator of Tetris worked there, and the Americans had a company called Mirrorsoft, I believe. Now, all this is real, right? This isn't just made up publishing names.
Based on a true story. It's, however, I'm sure, heavily dramatized.
Yeah,
I looked it up after the fact just to make sure. Yeah, and so
at the end too, they told you like what happened to Mirrorsoft and the owners and all that stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were basically saying, and this was from the main two, not only characters in the movie, but people in real life, the original programmer and then the licensee, both talking about how there were certain aspects of the film that were very true, such as their friendship that they sort of built through being game developers, and just the sort of the way that it operated in Russia at the time. But he said like stuff like the car chase to the airport was definitely like Hollywood.
They had to do something to get some action in there somehow.
Right. So that was the basic gist. Was like most of it in broad strokes was true in terms of like how the weird licensing sort of went back and forth and all of that sort of stuff. But the some of the action aspects of it, very, very Hollywood.
The spy espionage stuff,
spy thriller stuff.
Yeah. They probably threw that in. I can see that, but I think it's a neat little time capsule, and they do a good job with like representing that era of, this is when the NES was blowing up, and just before the Game Boy came out.
The Game Boy was coming out.
Yeah, as the game, and it was cool to see them in the lab with the prototype, and before anybody knew about it and stuff like that. And
it was 1988 was the setting.
Is that the time period? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, if those kind of elements sound interesting to you, I think you should check this out. It doesn't really interest me. Like, I didn't have an interest in that stuff before I saw it, but I'm still glad I saw it because I found the movie itself to be interesting. But like, if you were to tell me the history of like video game licensing as you were reading from a Wikipedia page, I would just fall asleep. But the movie does a pretty good job of making it holding your attention and stuff like that. So, yeah, I like it. I give it a thumbs up. I thought it was pretty cool. What about y'all?
Well, yeah, I definitely give it a thumbs up. Even though this is one of the first movies we've had that didn't have the gratuitous nudity. But it also isn't from the 80s.
Yeah.
It's one of the first, like, really new movies that have been on the list. And it's also one of the few movies that, you know, I hadn't seen, like, forever and a day ago.
And it was, and I guess I should add that it was produced for Apple TV,
yep.
right? Yeah. So
right.
if you want to watch it, that's where it's at, Apple TV.
Yeah, I liked it too. I thought it was
Mordancy.
Yes, no comment. Yeah, I thought it was fast enough to really hold your attention because I think there could be a lot of sort of procedural licensing, you know, contractual. It could probably be really boring if they had strung it along like that. But
I thought they did really well in explaining how the contracts and the way that the contracts were invalidated and what the contracts did and didn't cover because there weren't definitions for things at the time.
Right. Like,
yeah,
what's a computer?
That was good.
Yeah. Look at these two.
Cool.
Like they hold up two pictures, and it's like one of these is a console, and one of them is a computer. Like, what's the difference between them? And the guy's like, well, one has a keyboard.
Keyboard, yeah.
And it's like, yes. So you know.
And I didn't realize that they split a property up in so many pieces as far as like for handheld, for the PC market, for arcade, and you had to have a license agreement for each little segment of an IP like that. I didn't know that it worked that way. I thought once you just get an IP and then that's it, you know. But I guess it didn't really work that way. So.
Well, and I have vivid memories of being that age. So I probably would have been, 14 at the time in 88, something like that. No, a little younger. And playing Tetris on Game Boy specifically. And I never realized that it launched with Tetris. That was like one of the big. So that scene where they were talking about having Mario Brothers launch on it, where Hank, the main guy, is saying, well, if you want to sell a couple 100,000 of these to some kids, then launch it with Mario Brothers. But if you want to sell millions of them to everybody, you need Tetris. And I remember like Tetris when it hit, it was everybody was just like,
music just
obsessed.
stuck in your head.
Classic, classic music. And it had some cool effects too in the movie. They would, they kind of cut up the movie into different parts, and they would have kind of like pixelated
stages.
Stages,
levels.
Like levels, level 1, level 2. Until you finally completed the game, quote unquote. So, that was cool. But I would not have liked to live in the Soviet Union back then. That looked pretty grim. Everybody's paranoid. Big Brother's always listening and watching and taking photos of where you're at and what you're doing and things like that. And
I'm so glad we live in the U.S. now,
right?
Where there's no surveillance whatsoever. But
everybody's free.
Yeah.
Well, and it was interesting to also. So the whole concept of making the most money for Russia, like, so the money that, because it's not capitalism, these companies producing these goods, they're not making the money and then like it's pocketed to the company. Like it is going into the greater society, the greater government. And so the main guy,
there's no private ownership.
Right. So the guy that is like negotiating the contract, trying to, so there's several different parties vying for the rights, and so they keep going back and forth around like who's providing the best deal. And the guy at Elor or whatever that company is that is trying to get the best deal, and his argument is, well, this is the best for Mother Russia, right? This is the most money, it's the most recognition, blah blah blah. And like the undercurrent of it is that there's sort of a evil politician who's trying to get a bribe to get one of the companies to get the rights instead of the other ones, and
because he knows that communism is dying, and
There's the
Right.
writing on the wall is kind of the theme through the
right,
whole
and
movie.
nobody
that-
can figure out like, well, why does this company have to get the license whenever
Mhm.
this other deal's better, and like, so there's a lot of conflict around that. But just I had never thought that, well, of course it's not capitalism, like that money goes, I just never thought about it like you're producing something, and that money that the revenue that you generate isn't going into a single entity, it's going into the larger society.
Yeah.
So that was sort of like a interesting concept, like you're working and you're getting you're earning something for that work, but it isn't like capitalism, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
There's no profiting.
right.
First, there's no private ownership or anything like that. It's all going to the state, and then of course the state is corrupt. You have the whoever the bad guy was is trying to get his cut, and there's probably all kinds of people trying to get their cut and stuff too. And
Yeah.
so
Sinking ship kind of
Yeah.
mentality.
then you see the wall coming down towards the end, and the original programmer of the game is sitting there watching TV with his wife, and they're still in Russia, and she's like, "Is this good or bad?" And he's like, "I don't know," because they've lived under the system forever, so they have no idea what's going to happen now. So that was kind of interesting. It was very uncertain times.
Yeah. Yeah, but I definitely give it a thumbs up. I thought it was, it was an enjoyable time to just watch it. And
Yeah.
I don't think it was too deep. I don't think it's going to change the world. It was just
No, it was
something
just
fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree, definitely.
I also give it a thumbs up. Really enjoyed it. Granted, it wasn't the normal stuff that we watch, but it was nice that it was, based on things that happened historically. And I found it interesting and engaging. So, yeah, definitely a thumbs up from me.
Well, there were two specific scenes that I thought were really cool. So the first one at the trade show where he discovers it. So he's there selling his own version of the game Go, if you know what that is.
That's right,
And it-
yeah.
And it was, I guess,
not
kinda boring.
available in Japan.
Oh, okay. So,
No, I think that's one of the he says in his sales pitch. Not
Yeah.
available.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So anyway, so he goes to look for his person that's supposed to be helping him, who ends up being in another booth playing a game, and she's like, "Just play this," and he plays it, and he realizes he wants to use it, but so basically, right then he decides to hack it and transform it a little bit to work on a different platform, and then further on in the movie, Alexei, the main programmer, shows him the original version, and I didn't realize this, but the original version didn't have like the idea of a Tetris, which is 4 lines at a time, and that it blinks and disappears.
One of my favorite parts, too.
And the two of them together, we're talking about like what languages they use to program in, and then they look at the program together, and then they sort of collaborate. And I just thought that was like, and that's the part that they said was like the most realistic, was their friendship and the fact that they enjoyed game development. And so I thought that part was, and they were talking and showing real code in a way that wasn't like Hollywood idiocy, the normal like computer being like all lines of code spewing across.
Like Matrix coming
Yeah,
down.
exactly. So it was like, I thought that was kind of cute and endearing in a way that they actually just like sat and like programmed a little bit and like actually changed some stuff and tried it, and it was neat, that part of it. So
Yeah, definitely them bonding over coding was interesting to watch, and them talking about the different languages that they did enjoy and understanding the exact same things about those languages, even though they live, thousands and thousands of miles apart. So, yeah. And how he got them the tickets so that they could leave the country. So he sent them a couple of Game Boys. And as they're pulling them out of the box, you can see strapped to the back of the box is a bunch of airplane tickets for that guy to get his whole family over to the U.S. And so yeah, they left the country and just stayed gone.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, while I was at the movie theater and watching Blue Beetle, they had a trailer for a movie that when it comes out on digital, I think we should add to the list. Because the trailer just looked awesome. Jackie agreed with me. It's called The Creator. You should look up that trailer and give it a watch because that looks good.
Okay, we'll do that.
But it's not hitting theaters until the 29th of this month. So I have no idea when it's going to be out on digital. And with the strike and things, you're not really seeing ads for this type of stuff right now. So, yeah.
Are we ready to pick the next movie?
Yep.
Got the picker here.
Make it so.
It is Prototype from 1992. Looks like the exact opposite of Tetris. It says, in a post-apocalyptic future, a wheelchair-bound veteran volunteers for an experimental cybernetic program that will allow him to walk again, only to find that it turns him into a lethal killing machine, pre-programmed to kill the last remaining member of the resistance, the woman he loves.
Sounds very similar to another movie that we watched. Except that one was newer. What was that one where the guy had his back broke and then got the chip installed and the chip talked to him?
Oh, yeah. Upgrade? Was that
Upgrade,
it?
yeah.
So this movie has a 3 stars out of 10 on IMDb.
That tells me we're watching quality.
And 23 user reviews, so we're amongst the many.
Wow, we are. Let's see. I can find a trailer here. I guess there was another movie called Prototype.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing
Neural.
2 other movies called Prototype.
Yeah, so.
One with 2.2 stars and one with 5.8 stars. Both on the high quality list. This 2.2 star one, I got to go look at it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, that's quality right there, bud.
According to Topcast, it has Michael Jai White. If you remember him, he was the one that was always in a lot of martial arts films.
It's Spawn.
It's a process called rebirth.
Rebirth? What do you mean by rebirth?
I'm hearing audio from you, but I'm not seeing any video.
2057
I'm playing on the Lugcast.
AD. What about me? What happens to my mind?
An experiment gone wrong.
Do you remember who you are?
I don't know.
Created to control a world gone mad.
Why would the government let me come here and recreate another prototype?
What was once a man
He hasn't been seen in 30 years.
is now a monster.
I'm warning you. Don't let them catch you.
Seems that they just disappeared without any explanation.
An unstoppable force.
This city is not a very safe place for a woman by herself.
I've been here before.
A
Looks like kind of
nightmare.
Robocop.
There's one left.
You've known all along.
IMDb actually has at least 6 movies called Prototype.
100% cybernetically integrated
Jesus.
entities.
Am I going to get out of here alive?
It's not afraid of death, as
And this
long as
isn't the
it's the
lowest
killer.
rated
Look
one.
into your mind and see the advent. You know who he is.
In a world without hope,
You
Oh,
remember
yeah.
him, don't you? He is really you.
the
One
only
of them's
future
a
they have
TV movie, one of them's a short.
Can you feel
And
Hawkins?
there's 2 from 2022.
is a past it barely remembers.
Where am I hearing the
That's
audio from?
That's enough. that's from Lugbot.
Lugbot.
Oh, okay. I was confused. I
So
wasn't sure if it was like me.
it looks like it's actually on YouTube. And I'm sure I could find a copy of it too. I don't know if it's ever released on DVD or not.
Alright, this just looks like quality.
Yeah, there's a prototype X29A.
I
Well,
think
that's
that's
also
it.
from- But
Is that it?
Yeah, I think so. Is it 1992?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, it is or it's not?
Yes, it
Oh,
is. It says 1992.
Yeah,
So.
but it's a
Okay.
different movie.
Oh, it is?
Or at least it's listed on IMDb as a separate movie.
Oh.
It looks the same though, according to
Hold
the
on.
thumbnail.
Are you sure, Joe?
Honestly, no. I mean, there's so many listed here as prototype that I'm not certain.
Sometimes they list alternate titles. Let's see.
I see 3 copies of it on YouTube.
Yeah, because the guy on the
And they're all
front
the
does
same
look
length.
the
just
same.
about.
So yeah, it is actually the same one.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the same one.
Why it has 2 listings.
A review says, at least the title describes the final product in question.
Yeah, but they've got one with...
That's pretty good.
They've got a movie called Prototype with 2.4 stars, one with 3.9, one Prototype with 3.0, and then this one has 2.2, and then there's one with 5.8, and then there's another one with a completely different image with 5.8 stars.
So we're somewhere in the middle of the prototypes as far as this movie goes.
Oh, there is one with 9.3.
What?
9.3 stars. It's called Prototype. It's from 2016. There's no image, and 3 unlikely cohorts inadvertently stumble upon an invention that challenges the very nature of quantum physics, a discovery which in turn puts their lives in grave danger. This sounds familiar.
Like it sounds like
One movie we watched.
It's a TV movie. Okay.
It sounds like that one movie we watched.
That pseudo H.P. Lovecraft one.
Yeah, where they found the thing in the junkyard.
Oh, yeah.
The Air Force junkyard.
Well, no, Mordancy's talking about the newer movie that had the machine that the demons could come through or something. Isn't that what you're talking about, Mordancy? Yeah.
I was talking about that one where the guy was in high school.
My Science Project.
My Science Project.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how to get a hold of this TV movie. It just says 2016, 9.3 stars, but there's no actual written reviews.
25 reviews. Evidently, an article came out recently saying that you could not trust IMDb because companies were using it to drum up interest in their movies by having people come or paying people to give reviews first, so that way it looked like it had reviewed better than it really is.
So, okay, I found an article about it. It's a sci-fi thriller drama pilot that was being shopped around, and it showed on Sci-Fi Channel. The pilot did, but they decided to pass on it.
It was just too good for sci-fi.
Well, yeah, of course. That's exactly what that means. Well, okay, so Prototype from 1992. Let's see.
And you said it's on YouTube?
Yeah, if it's that same one that's called X29A or whatever.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, because this is there's intro text, which is I'm already sold.
Yeah.
By the middle of the 21st century, the great cities were dying. In an attempt to regain control and suppress the population, cybernetically altered humans were created. They were called Omegas.
So anything that has a leading type like that, it's
That's right.
quality.
Within a few years of their appearance, the Omegas began to alter their programming. It became known as the time of the Mad Minds.
Yeah. Yep. This is going to be interesting. Oh my. You guys have got quite a list of films here.
My favorite on there is still Sneakers. I don't know if you've ever watched Sneakers, Eric.
Yeah, I have.
Like the classic hacker movie. One of the first pen test movies. Can you think of an earlier one? I can't think of an earlier one.
No, not really.
No.
Other than War Games.
Yeah. There was very little. Well, I guess in those early movies, there really wasn't a lot of substance. It was just sort of a lot of like things happen. Like, oh, I just, find a phone number and it.
Security was a little bit different back then, too.
Yeah, that's true.
It was less, existent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the movie for next month, I guess. Will be the next time we're on. Anything else you want to go over? It's just after 11 CST here. I haven't been doing much. Well, I've been messing around. Lovecraft and Netminer helped me test new Mumble web and the Mumble server itself, and then I've been messing with this BBS, trying to get it to display through a browser and having problems with that. It works fine through Telnet, but having issues with the browser client. So I'll keep working on that, and we'll see what happens. Also, I need to get around to get my 3D printer running, like Joe said. Who knows? By the next show, maybe I'll have something to show for it. We'll see. But that's all I really got. But Mordancy, we haven't heard from you. Are you any projects or anything you're working on?
Yeah, I'm trying to get Coder running. I'm trying to get on the SSD nodes. I'm trying to get VZ Linux running on that Ansel. That cloud device that never worked right.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
Still shopping for laptops and tablets. My Chromebook and Think Penguin are end of life, but I think I might be able to get the Think Penguin working if I can switch to Flatpak from Snap.
Yeah. Now, how old is that Think Penguin?
7, 8 years old.
Have you thought about App Image?
No. The App Image is another one.
Yeah.
Like Flatpak and stuff.
Kind of, yeah. It's like a portable app.
Yeah. Basically, you wouldn't even have to put them on the hard drive. You put them on a USB stick if you want to.
Just make it executable. Have y'all heard anything about this whole Unity deal?
I have a video brought up that I'm going to watch on it. I just haven't yet, so...
It just sounds like it's more about, I don't know, it's weird things to do with licensing and what's considered a seat, and like, once you use a license and how you can recycle it, and it just seemed like it was probably a little unfair, and at least obviously to the people who are using it. So my guess is that somebody's probably trying to game the system with the way licenses are applied, and this is their attempt to stop it, and maybe had a little unintended blowback on people.
It says they changed their pricing model from a simple pay per seat model. So is that just pay per developer, I guess? Be pay per seat?
I don't know if it's developer or device. I'm not sure.
to pay per install. So,
so it must have been per developer to a device. Yeah.
There was a little bit of confusion about how it would work on the paper installed. So if you had like Steam or something, every time you downloaded it, then it cost the developer money.
Unity would like to charge 20 cents per install after your app has made $200,000 over the past year. What this means is that every one of your users has to see. Well, they're talking about like mobile games. So one of your users has to see at least 10 ads at 2 cents per ad after installing your app to not have cost you money. These numbers are averages. That's weird, isn't it? Or is that something that's usually done? It just seems like a weird pricing model that
like profit
you
share
have to
kind of
pay for. The developer has to pay if somebody installs your game instead of just paying for the software.
From what I remember of what I did read of it or see of it, they're thinking that it could cause a lot of issues for like indie developers because you could tank an indie developer, or a free-to-play game in that way, and somebody just continuously downloads it and downloads it and downloads it just to basically, cause problems, cost money to the developer.
Yeah, because if a lot of people install your game and it doesn't make any money, then you're just kind of screwed, right? You owe Unity all this money.
What are you trying to show us, Joe?
So this is one of those earplugs that I showed earlier. It's a little easier to see in the orange color that I'm printing it in now. I wanted it to be easier to find if I drop it or something, so I reprinted it in an orange, nice bright. And I printed like 12 of them, so when I lose them,
part goes in your ear? Or?
This part here, that part that sticks out, you put an ear tip on it from a headphone, and I've got whole bunches of them. So like here's the black one that I showed earlier.
Okay.
And I'm also kind of showing how the quality on this tiny part came out really well with that new fan shroud.
Yeah, for such a small piece. Yeah.
I'm really liking it.
So it's funny you say that because I was looking for something earlier today and I found a bag of those earbud pieces.
Squishy ones, yeah.
Why I keep them, I don't know. But do I need 50 of them? No. But
Well, if you're going to use them regularly, you have to switch out those squishy ones kind of often, or you'll get infections. With this kind, with the plastic ear tips.
Yeah.
Mordancy, I cut you off earlier. I'm sorry. When I was asking you what you were working on, I'm getting tired. Are you still my friend? I'm sorry.
Always.
Okay, thank you. Well, was there anything else that I want to see what Coder looks like when you get that up and running for sure.
Yeah, that's why I need the networking reverse proxy stuff. That's what I'm having problems with. Looking for a laptop, tablet. Not much. I haven't followed up with work whether or not I can buy all those. Replacements. I did talk to a couple people at OLF about. Apparently, they've tried to do the same thing, and people don't want to work with Linux for whatever reason. Really? Yeah. So, I still need to come up with a spiel to present for that. Not tech related, but I was pretty gung ho looking for a house recently. Thought I had one. Did not. It ran into lots of problems, and then I'm working too much. I think I hit 58 hours today, which I guess is lower than what I've been hitting in the last month or two. I went on LinkedIn and put that I was open to whatever that is that you can click that says you're open to opportunities or something like that. I've gotten a couple direct phone calls from recruiters who have my resume on file and it's got my actual phone number. Everyone else that's contacted me, I've either told them, reiterated what I'm looking for and what they're asking doesn't match, or I've followed up on stuff.
I actually get the most phone calls from my Dice. So if you don't have an account on Dice, I recommend it.
I do not, but I did apply for like I said, like I say every year at this time, those SFTP jobs that pop up. There's one I think it was for medical data, where they're still transferring stuff FTP, and they have a team, but they need somebody to head up creating a single SFTP server, and you don't have to be able to script from hand, but be able to migrate the FTP scripts to SFTP with key authentication. And I'm just like, I'd do that from scratch. Nobody knows how to do it. There's this whole field.
What are you supposed to do the second half of the hour?
It's $90 an hour.
It's crazy.
I really want it. I haven't got a call back. I'm surprised. I've got a couple other companies that have called me where they seem to be interested. One is a internet provider. When the recruiter called me, she started asking me questions, and I just started talking about how I was passionate about Linux. I want Linux, no Windows, all this stuff. And I told her that I use my vacation time to go to Linux conferences, and literally what they're looking for is somebody who is passionate about Linux, that Linux and Unix is their second language. So,
really?
Yeah. My interview process, I've gone through 2 of the recruiters, and I have interviews starting Monday for that one. But I don't know what pay is on that one.
Hopefully it's good.
Yeah. And stuff at my job looks like it's going to improve. I don't know if it's going to improve for me, but it looks like there's a lot of changes coming.
Really?
Yeah, maybe.
What was the impetus for this?
Well, so I don't know. I've talked about it before. We've had the HR person that came in before me, and one of the managers that was being promoted before I came in, and then the CTO came from the business side. That combination has just completely ruined IT. They outsourced everything. There's not enough people, actual employees, to do the work. Infrastructure is understaffed. They changed salary stuff from having a company policy of paying 125% above market for positions. They actually said, because that's the way you keep the quality talent, to paying below, drastically below. Everybody on the IT side that leaves goes and makes double doing the same role or less. And the other parts of the business, like finance and stuff, people leave and make 30 to 40,000 more a year at a lower level position, like less work, less responsibility.
Yeah. I keep thinking about getting out of fintech, but that's where the freaking money is.
Yep. Don't have a title. I'm not treated like a person as far as in my opinion. No money, no title, and there's not enough. It's so overworked. It's crazy. And my boss keeps telling me just sign out after 8 hours. And there's just catastrophic stuff. And if I have a second job, I will sign out.
Yeah.
If I have another obligation, I will go to that obligation. Yeah. I've done it before. I'm really good at balancing that. If I'm going to work 80 hours a week, I might as well get paid for 80 instead of 40.
Are they not giving you overtime?
Oh, no, I'm salary.
Well, if your salary is below X amount, you can still put in for overtime.
What do you mean below X amount? Total salary?
Yeah, if your total salary is below, I forget what the cutoff is. If it's, it used to be 75, but I think it got raised to like 100 and something. And so if you're working consistently in the overtime range, you can actually sue your company or put in for overtime because you're not making enough as a salaried employee.
Yeah, I've been told not to work past 8.
So then you probably are in that range where you're not making enough as salary to, you know, not be able to put that in. So if you are working 60 hours and it's documented that you're working 60 hours, you could
It's
definitely.
not in the timesheet. It's not in the timesheet system because I was told just to put 8 per day. It is in my calendar for the last 3 years in Outlook, and I have it documented in paper in one of those college composition books.
Then my suggestion would be to verify the amount and also talk to an employment lawyer. Get a free consultation or whatever.
I'd rather just work somewhere where I worked on a team and
Didn't get fucked.
The other thing is I don't want to be the smartest person at work.
I understand this one.
It's unfulfilling and it's frustrating.
Yeah, it's weird when I get to go and talk to some people on other teams and they have their own like Linux, Unix expert, and then we just get on this random conversation that I can't have with members of my team about different apps and tools we wish that we could be using. Yeah, it's really eye-opening, and I would prefer to actually have a team where I could have those conversations all the time.
I agree. Yes.
Oh, I have been actually working on a minor project. I've been studying Fortran 2008.
What are you studying it for? Are you writing code with Fortran?
I'm trying to decipher the book on Fortran, but evidently this is one of, it appears to be a rabbit hole where I get the book on 2008, and then they say you should look at the 2005 Fortran manual, and I've already blown my budget on relatively obscure languages, and Fortran just seems, the manual appears to be written in Fortran manual. Trying to decode what it's actually saying and how they actually work. And seeing some of the choices that have been made where they put object-oriented stuff into Fortran without putting in structured programming stuff first. I'm not much for structured programming, but why didn't you update the foundation before you put a new roof on it? I think the foundational update is if then else. Maybe case, I don't know. But it just is a little weird.
Yeah, Fortran is one of those interesting language that tends to get mixed with all the different versions of Fortran. It's difficult to learn, but if you do learn it, then you are a commodity.
Isn't that where people post images and make bad jokes and have lots of porn and stuff like that? Fortran?
Yeah.
Am I thinking about something?
4chan.
Oh, okay.
4chan.
That's something completely different than that.
But hey, also you guys should check out an anime that is coming out in supposed to be the first quarter of next year, made by the producer of John Wick and the writers for Cowboy Bebop, called Lazarus. And there is a teaser trailer out currently. It looks good. It looks like the style of anime that I've always enjoyed. So,
Lazarus.
Has anyone explored the reboot of Babylon?
I have not yet. It's still on my list. Have you seen it yet?
I've only seen a YouTube coverage of it that I have seen the shell of. I haven't seen any meat yet. I know about a reboot. I don't know what they said about it. Babylon 5 is one of my favorites.
Mine too.
Even if I don't have 3 appendages, mating appendages, it's fun.
One of the best sci-fi stories out there.
It's awesome. One thing I want to mention real quick, I put it in the show notes, is this 1-inch square computer called the Vocore. It says it's open hardware. It runs Linux, OpenWRT, 128 megabytes of DDR, Wi-Fi, USB, UART, I2C, SPI, 20 plus GPIOs, but only 1-inch square. It's neat. I'll put it in the chat too.
Didn't even touch links today.
Yeah, I thought this was really cool, this little computer. So I put it in the show notes and but it's open hardware as well as you get all the schematics and everything, and when you order it.
There's another Pi Pico size machine that I've just ran through a little bit. It's a RISC-V machine, and it's a big and little processor, but Linux doesn't access the little processor yet. It's
You know what it's called? Is it Orange Pie or?
I don't know what it's called. Since it's clearly a Pi Zero form factor machine, and I don't mean 02. This is a Pi Zero. One processor is about a gigahertz. The other one's about 700 megahertz. It says it runs Linux, but the Linux is clearly not quite there on running both the big processor and the little processor, and it just seemed like a bit early.
There's one called a Mango Pi MQ Pro. has a RISC chip.
That may be it.
Said it takes on the Raspberry Pi Zero.
It may take on a 0. It doesn't sound like it takes on a 0 too.
It would be neat to play around with the RISC chip. I'm looking at the links now. I don't really see the Librem 11 Linux tablet has a Celeron N5100 and it sells for $9.99.
Yeah, I saw that.
Find My Cat is an open source pet tracker. There's a fork of YouTube Downloader with additional features and fixes.
Are you getting this off Lemmy?
Uh-huh.
Okay, because I read through all this earlier in the week. I'm like, yeah, this sounds familiar.
It's called yt-dlp, a YouTube DL fork with additional features and fixes. I'm trying to see what the new features. You can sponsor block integration. You can mark, remove sponsor sections in YouTube. Hang on, let me put it in the show notes. Put it in the mumble.
Also, in the sounds nice, but is a little green category. I don't recall the name of it, but somebody's trying to reimagine Tor with a better protocol and better servers and whatnot. But this is sounds very, very green and for something that needs to disperse services, it seems like like 2 or 3 guys have gotten together and have their new shininess, but it hasn't been fielded enough to as far as I know, this is not only an article, but it's also an appeal to try to get people to put out the servers and whatnot that's needed to build a web.
Yeah, I was going to say it took Tor a long time to get enough sort of volunteer infrastructure behind it to be really usable. So I have to imagine any new undertaking is going to, I mean, unless it gets a lot of word of mouth, or is significantly better than Tor in some way, that could be a real challenge for them.
Oh, here. Oh, never mind. This is not a RISC 5. I was going to say there's one called Orange Pi 02W, a Raspberry Pi 02W alternate with up to 4 gigabytes of RAM. But it's ARM. It's not RISC-V.
Gents, I kind of need to shut down. I've been up for
Yeah, I think we're towards the end of it here now. It's getting late.
Al said hi, Jeffrey.
Well, I always love hearing from L by voice or email.
Yeah,
All right.
her and I need to find some time to send you emails together.
Pass up the line. There's no pressure in that direction at all.
Okay. If the U.S. government doesn't expedite the visa, the lawyer said that it would probably be the end of 2024, early 2025 before she'd have her interview.
We need to have a big party when that happens.
Yeah, just real happy that I'm planning on coming again at the end of the year. I'm hoping there aren't any issues.
Me too. All right. Well, I guess we'll shut her down unless y'all got anything else. Everybody good? If we don't have a Blue Moon show this month, our next recording date will be October 6th, 2023. So next month. Our music is Downright, provided by Klaatu and Brome. We would like to thank Delwyn for the use of his Mumble server, which we had some issues with tonight, but maybe we'll see what we can work out next show. Finally, we would like to give a special thanks to Father Finch, Phoebe, Dave Morris, and Tony Bemis for all their help and support over the years. For the Linux Lugcast, I have been Minix, and why do I always forget how to do this? With me has been Eric.
See you next time.
Mordancy.
Good night.
Joe.
Blue Moon Show, yay!
Yeah, maybe so. Netminer.
Night all. And God bless all the Ms. Shorts.
Okay, I'll let them know.
We had Tony for a little while, but he didn't follow us to the other server. Verbal was hanging out with us tonight on Mumble. Arcee as well as Hopper joined us tonight. We had a lot of people despite missing Honky and Lovecraft. So that's it for tonight. Hope everybody has a great weekend, and we will see you next time. Good night.
Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. Excuse me. I think you need to put this in the show notes.
Linux is amazing. Linux is amazing.
Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. Good night.